all their guns, proper
literally raiding at
gunpoint, looking for this individual, and they weren't there. But yeah, quite interesting to see. Like, okay, we're a little famous here on the local newspapers and stuff. Ray and Natasha here, and today we're going to be talking about our experience of our 8-bed HMO in Crewe, what the challenges, learnings were, and all the reasons that we decided to sell the property last week.
So a little bit about the HMO for those who don't know or follow us. So we bought this HMO back in around March 2019. We did quite an extensive refurb. It was basically like a really big house. It was like two houses that had been like at some point merged together. And was being run as, I think it was a 6-bed HMO.
Yeah, it was a 6-bed HMO, yes.
And with just two bathrooms, 6-bed HMO. And we thought it looks like a great project, so we ended up buying it. And then we decided to turn it into an 8-bed, 8-ensuite HMO.
Yes, so we went through full planning for this. Like Natasha said, we actually bought the property beginning of 2019, but we bought it without planning being fully approved, but we were really close to planning being approved. So once that got approved into an 8-bed, 10-person HMO, we got cracking with the works. It took around 6 months to do, and towards the end of 2019, it was ready to let. At first, we was self-managing the property, which had its challenges. We live down south, up in the Midlands is quite a distance for us. And we realised that just wasn't really working for us. So at that time, we decided to hand over all of our properties, including our 8-bed HMO, to a local letting agent.
Which was a great decision.
Yeah.
A great decision.
It was. Yeah, the freedom it gave us in terms of just not having to deal with every single query that came up. We could focus on growing the business, working on the business rather than in the business, and kind of allowed us to get involved in other streams of incoming property that we're doing now, such as service accommodation, etc. So that obviously was really great for us, but then obviously COVID hit, which brought a lot of challenges for us. And we found that we struggled to let some of the rooms, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was kind of always around about 4 rooms we knew we had to let, between 4 and 6 rooms, because some of the rooms were larger and had a higher rental income. That would mean we broke even on the property, and we always fluctuated between those figures during COVID and until recently. So sometimes we'd be at 6 rooms, sometimes 4 rooms, 5 rooms. We could never really hit the full 8 rooms being let.
And I think we were just so frustrated because we put all this time and this money in, and we thought this is going to be, the work that we do as well is generally of really high standard.
Yes.
So we thought we're not going to have a problem with renting any of these out, and we haven't in any of our other properties. So we thought it would be similar. We'd done all the due diligence that we needed to do, so we didn't have any reason to think otherwise.
No.
And every month we were kind of just about like we were making money, but just not anywhere near what we were hoping for. And obviously putting so much work and effort in, it was just so frustrating.
So we anticipated we would make around £1,000 cash flow on this property, but like Natasha said, it never really happened for us. There would be months where we were like, brilliant, we've let more rooms, we're going to make more money, and then some maintenance issues would come up and eat into that, and we'd break even again. So that was really frustrating for us. One of the other learnings we had was just the dynamic of a larger HMO. So we'd always done 3, 4, 5-bed HMOs before this. This was our first step into a larger all-ensuite HMO, and that had challenged itself in terms of the dynamic. So sometimes people would come in, would they get on, would they not, or it'd just be like a higher turnover of tenants within the property itself.
And the dynamics of obviously 8 people living together, or hoping to 8 people living together.
Potentially 10.
Potentially 10. And the whole COVID situation of obviously people coming into view, or at the point actually, when we first started renting it or just after, people weren't even allowed to come in and view.
No.
Everything went to a halt. So whoever was currently in there, that's kind of who we were kind of stuck with. I think it was it 5 bedrooms that we had?
I think we had 5 at that point, and then like Natasha said, we just couldn't show other people around, so it was like we were waiting for the government guidelines to change that we could show people in, but that just meant more delays, and sometimes they would go to find a different place which maybe wasn't always following the rules. We was determined to do it right for our tenants in the property, and so was our agent who was managing at the time. And
then we had one person who decided not to pay us.
When
because they thought we were, I think a lot of people assume that it's okay not to pay rent because we'll have a mortgage holiday.
Yeah,
which
they
we
assumed
didn't
you were going to
have.
have it, but they didn't communicate that, did they? So they would
No,
just
that's the other
do
frustration.
that. Yeah, they just assume that that's going to be the case. So that
Radio
obviously
silence.
had its strains on us itself. And this property probably had everything happen that could have happened. So I remember during the first lockdown, we was contacted by our agent because the police were in contact with her because they were looking for one of our tenants at the time. They were keeping an eye on him, and they actually needed to have a word with him. So she worked really closely with them. We worked with her, and then we found out they looked for him. It was on the hottest day of April, I think, back in 2020 during lockdown. The police were amazing, got all the tenants out, getting the water being really, really hot, following guidelines as much as they could. The tenant had already left, which was frustrating, but good as well. But yeah, seeing the pictures, they basically were out there with all their guns, proper,
Literally raiding
at gunpoint, looking for this individual, and yeah, they weren't there. But yeah, quite interesting to see. Was like, okay, we're a little famous here on the local newspapers and stuff. So yeah, it was just like, this is having everything that could happen is happening.
Yeah, I think we sent a picture of to one of our family members saying like, "Oh, look at this." And they're like, "Oh, good job, that's not yours." And you're like, "No, that is
ours. That's actually ours. Yeah. But yeah, that like our agent and everything was amazing with that. But because of the high turnover and the amount of maintenance the property was having as well, our agent actually found it a bit more challenging herself as well. She was managing a lot of stuff in different local areas and wanted to focus on her local town.
And I think she took it on as
As
a favour
thank you
to
us.
favour
Yeah.
to us.
Wasn't
so
her
it wasn't
area
her
generally.
area
Yeah.
generally.
It
So I
was
think it took up more time
yeah.
than we all anticipated.
Yes, a lot more time because of everything going on with COVID and stuff. So she actually wanted to step away, and we wanted to find someone locally in the area to manage it as well. So we made that transition to a new agent earlier this year, but already at that time we'd made the decision that we was thinking of selling it. So we were talking to our business partner who we owned this one with, thinking this is what we're thinking of doing because of all these changes that have come up for us. We haven't really made any money on the property. We haven't made any loss either, but we had created a lot of equity in the property. We thought we could take that out. We personally wanted to reinvest some of it into a different project that was finding locally to home, and also we'd had some financial struggles because of COVID. Natasha had been on maternity leave because we'd had our first son. We didn't want to travel up and down half as much as we had been in the past. So yeah, we wanted to pay off a few debts, reinvest some of it ourselves. And yeah, just all these different reasons that made us kind of weigh up, do we want to sell the property?
And it wasn't, we didn't come up with like, right, we'll sell that one straight away. We
No,
just knew
not at
that
all.
we wanted to, we thought, right, best decision for us right now is that we sell one of our properties.
Yeah.
So we were like, which is the worst performing one, basically.
Yeah.
Which happened to be that one. And obviously how much equity is in the properties as well was also
for sure. Always considered, yeah.
And actually although we didn't make as much as we were hoping for cash flow wise, we actually managed to, if you look at it as more of a flip project as well, we actually did really well. It was actually a good project for that. So that's why we decided in the end. I think that one's got it's been the hardest challenge for us. We've learned so much. It's been a great journey, a bit of a rocky one in places, but it felt like the right time to exit that and then put that money into better use somewhere else and to welcome new challenges.
Yeah, and like Natasha said, like it's always something you should consider is at some point during your portfolio of selling the property that is the least performing. We did obviously consider all different factors. We've literally made a list of all our properties, what they're making, the amount of equity, and then like Natasha said, and this one was the right one because of all those reasons. But you should definitely consider that as well when you're going through your property journey or your portfolio as well, so you can reinvest it in something that is working, because there'll come a time when something does change in them as well. So one thing we do want to make clear is obviously, even though there's been a lot of challenges with this property, it hasn't put us off doing a property of this size or larger in the future. Although it's had a lot of change along the way, we would be really open to doing something like this again when the right project comes up. But this was just the right time for us to move on from this one, to take some money out, pay some debt off, move on, and take the learnings to put forward. But it's been amazing to see it kind of go forward to a new owner. I know they're doing some great things with it as well, aren't they?
Yeah, so it makes us feel a little bit better
that
you're saying it's actually the first property we've sold as well.
Yeah, it is.
So that was a new experience as well. But yeah, they're going to be using the property pretty much as it is. It's still going to be a HMO with on suites. They've kept all the furniture, so we know it's at a lovely standard, and they're going to be targeting social housing. So we know they're going to be doing some great work there.
Yes. So yeah, it's really nice to know there's going to be supporting charities and supporting them to help the vulnerable to have a lovely place to stay, and knowing that all the effort we did put in has gone to helping.
Yeah, and it's
some
not being
people make
wasted.
it. Not
Someone's
been
coming in
wasted
and like
at
knocking
all.
it all down. So that's quite bad.
But yeah, so that's the reasons that we are selling the property, all the learnings and challenges we've had along the way. If you wanted to see what the property looked like or different stages of the refurb as well, we have all of that on our channel, so do take a look. You can see from what it looked like before to what it looked like now, and obviously for the new buyers. And any questions, we would always be very open to answering them. Take care.
Thank you.